Hello everyone, my name's Giselle and I've designed quite a few characters on this channel at this point, but the way that I design characters for videos is very different than how I design characters when I'm actually intending on using them. So today I thought it would be cool and fun to show you guys how I design a character that I'm actually going to be using in a comic. Okay, so the first step is concept sketches. It's a pretty easy idea. It's just doing your first sketch of what you think the character is going to look like, and then another one and another one until you're happy with it. For main characters, I would do a lot more than just 3 concept sketches because you know, it's good to just push yourself and find something you really like. Even if you think your idea is good, there's definitely better you can do. But this is only like a secondary character that I'm designing today, so I didn't go as hard in the concept design part of it. So my first idea, I was kind of very loaded with things I wanted to do. I wanted her to have a very detailed dress. I wanted her to have like a little scarf to emphasize that she had a very thin neck. I wanted her to have droopy eyes, very detailed swirly hair, this cool like crown thing. And then I didn't really know what to do for her shoes, so I gave her these weird sandals. But when I moved on to my second design, I knew I wanted it to be less detailed because that was just too overwhelming, and I didn't like the shoes. So I gave her this much simpler dress. I still kept the square neckline because the part of the story that this character is from, it's just fashionable, and so most of the women in this area will have square necklines, so I still kept that. And I mostly liked it, but I still kind of missed some of my ideas from the first one, so for my final, not quite final design, but almost final design, I gave her the original kind of shape of the first dress, but then I put less patterning on it. You're about to see me put like a poop done all over the dress, but I ended up deciding to kind of lessen it a bit so it's less overwhelming. For her shoes, I gave her the socks of the original one, but not those weird slides I gave her. I gave her the cute little, like, I think it's called Mary Jane's, and then I wanted to keep the crown. For her hair, I did like the idea of her having, like, big, round, curly hair, but to make it more simple, I just decided to draw it in a more realistic way rather than all swirly, spirally. You don't have to do line art for this part. Your concept sketches really just are you, like, exploring ideas, testing things, I guess. But I like to do line art anyways. I just think it gives me a better idea of what the ideas would look like fully done because my sketches are kind of messy. But if you have cleaner sketches, or even you just don't want to do line art, you can just stick to sketches for this part. So even though my third design on this is almost entirely the final design I used, I do end up giving her face slightly different features to make her look a bit older, because she is supposed to be middle-aged, and I realized she looked like a bit of a teenager. So yeah, and then I'm not going to color it fully. You're about to see me put colors in, but I just wanted it to look a little more complete, because I'm a bit of a freak about my drawings looking completed, even when it's just concept art. And next up is reference sheets. So for this part, you're going to take your final concept for the character and then draw that character out and add anything that you think you will need to, I guess, refer back to when you're drawing them. So for me, what I was kind of struggling with when I was drawing this character was her crown and the shoes, so I made sure to put a bunch of references for the shoes and the crown. Something I recommend doing also is if you have very detailed jewelry or accessories or clothing, or even just a detailed character, it can help to kind of make them smaller, and then show how you'll minimize detail as they get further away, because it can make drawings look really crowded if you have a poop ton of detail on something that's supposed to be distant. It just looks a little janky. So that's what you see I did with the shoes just there. For the character, you can see the eyes I've drawn. I did end up making them droopier because it makes her seem a little bit older. It also just better fits the character. She's supposed to be a little bit like sleepy and quiet and whispery, so I thought it just kind of suited her better. And then I also gave her some little eye bags and like wrinkles around her mouth and eyebrows. I think normally if you're going to make changes, you should just do it in your concept sketch stage, but since I knew the changes I wanted to make were very minimal, I decided to just do it here. I also put a reference for the eyes, the mouth, and the ears. I'd normally put the nose as well, but she doesn't really have much of a nose. It's like a tiny little butter nose, so I don't really think I need too much of a reference for that. For her ears, I put a reference for her because there are like different ear variants, but for most like human characters and stuff, you don't need to worry about that because the ears are usually the same. Then I also did a little bit of patterning, so obviously her dress has all of those flowery patternings on the top and the bottom, and so I put a few different options of ways that I can draw those flowers on the side. You don't need to worry too much about like the placement of where stuff will go on the clothes in particular. Obviously like panel to panel that matters in comics, but generally if like one chapter, one singular flower on her dress is in the left and then it moves to the right, no one's going to notice or care. If you do care about that, you can make a reference for the clothing patterns as well, but I do far too much detail on my characters, so I'm not doing that. Then to the left, I also drew her in these like weird little pajamas. I definitely recommend when you're doing references to do a reference of what they look like with less clothing on, like a reference of their body type. I don't really enjoy drawing naked people. It makes me feel a little bit awkward, so that's why I put her in these weird pajamas. But if you want a super helpful model, you can draw them without anything, but it's just awkward. I didn't want to do it. So yeah, here's the reference sheet. And third of all, it is profile turnarounds. So this is basically just a turnaround sheet, the same way you'd normally do a full body turnaround, but only for the profile. So you're getting like the way the facial features kind of distort at different angles. I was most worried about the looking from down up at the face angle, because I always struggle with drawing like the neck connecting to the jaw. It's just, I've never really been able to figure out how to make it look right for my art style, but I think I get a little closer every time I do it, right? So yeah, for this step, I did copy-paste the facial features. You want it to be as close to like on model consistent as possible for this, because this is obviously, it's a reference. So even though when you go on to draw the character, you're going to be drawing them each separate time, if you are referencing from something that's wrong, the character's going to come out double wrong, right? When you're referencing from something that's right, even if they come out a little bit messed up, at least it's not double messed up. So yeah, that's why I copy-pasted the faces for this section. I was originally going to draw her like crown for this section too, to see it from different angles, but I already did that in the reference sheet and it would also just take up a lot of space, so I decided against it. Accessories are usually a bit of a issue for these. Also, for most characters, I would do this as well as a full body turnaround, like I mentioned, but since this is only a secondary character, I didn't really think that was necessary. I'm going to make one of these videos for a main character that I'll be designing soon, so when I do that, I can show you more about like 360 turnarounds and the part of the process that got kicked out for this video. So yeah, I'm drawing her hair. I got so frustrated doing this because her hair has so much detail. I love drawing curly hair. It's like, it just looks so nice. You can add so much texture and shading to it, and I love shading. But the line art definitely drives me off a wall a little bit. But I did it anyways. Profile shots are also very hard to me, and I was getting so tired, so I ended up cutting out the top and bottom profile shots. But that's okay. We'll survive anyways. So for the step, you don't actually need to color it at all. I do think that you should do line art because facial features and stuff are kind of smaller detailed, and it's better to have that more precise rather than a sketch, even if your sketches are super duper clean. You don't need to color it though. This was so unnecessary of me, and I ended up getting tired again and not shading the hair fully, so clearly I bit off more than I should have. But yeah, here's the profile turnaround. It's very helpful. Obviously your character isn't going to look good from every angle. Don't worry about that. Just try to keep it consistent. I think she looks a little messed up from the bottom row, but it's consistent. Alright, last of all, it's time to do the expression sheet. So this is my favorite and least favorite part of character design. I really like thinking about how different characters' faces move based on like their mannerisms and their personality and such, but I hate keeping it consistent with their facial features, and so it's such a double-edged sword to me. I also very early on made a mistake, and I'm going to say it here so you guys realize. Her teeth, so she has, like, I guess tusks that come upwards, right? Upwards out of her mouth. But for some reason, I was being silly, and I kept drawing them coming from her top row of teeth, and it looked messed up, and I could tell something was wrong with her mouth, and so you see me, like, fiddling and editing them out a bunch, and I couldn't figure it out, because then I realized, if you have teeth coming upwards like that, they're going to come from your bottom row of teeth, not your top row, right? Because, you know, they stick up from your gums. And I realized that eventually, and I do fix it before I finish the drawing, thank goodness, but it was causing me so much grief. I was freaking out. As for her mannerisms, I decided I wanted to keep the droopy eyes relatively persistent throughout all of her expressions. Obviously, I did add them to make her seem older, but it's also like part of her character that she's more tired and kind of like she moves a bit slower and she talks a bit quieter, so I think it fits. I do end up doing a very like shocked expression for her, and even in that one, her eyes, as much as they're a bit wider, I still like to keep them mostly droopy. It's also very effective to have things like that, like if there's a character that doesn't smile with their eyes, or they don't move like part of their face much. I think my favourite part is the eyes, that's why I'm talking about it, but some people make it so they don't move their nose or their mouth or whatever. It makes it so that when you want to give them a very, very strong emotion, you can move that part of their face that doesn't usually move. Also, if your character has like wrinkles or creases on their face usually, you need to exaggerate them like a million times more, because obviously your face crinkles when you move it. Also, if a character doesn't have those usually, when they move their face, you should add them at least just a tiny little bit, because it just helps to make the face look more scrunched up or stretched out, and obviously that's what really makes the expression. This was super fun. I really like doing expressions. My favorite one is that one where she's like doing that awkward little like stupid freaking smile. I love doing this. I think after I figured out my issue with the teeth, I was enjoying this a lot more. The first half of this, I was hating it. I did not want to be doing this. Once again, same with the profile thing, you don't need to be coloring this. I think I didn't really like that I skipped out on coloring the hair for the profile turnaround, and so I wanted to like redeem myself by coloring this one fully, so that's why I'm doing this. Overall, I really like this expression sheet. I wish I realized the teeth sooner, but I got it in the end, and that's what matters. And it's why you should do this, because imagine if I made that mistake in the actual comic. That'd be so embarrassing. So yeah, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope this helps you with your characters. Bye!